the startup experience. So I'm Jordan Levy from CapSource. We're a technology business that brings together industry and academia for the benefit of the students that are enrolled in these incredible programs that are looking to elevate the quality of their lives. And really the only way to do that is actually by engaging in real collaboration with industry. And unfortunately, what I noticed when I was a student was that real collaboration with industry wasn't done very often, nor was it really scalable for institutions. They were kind of doing it in pockets. And so that's where we decided to kind of focus our efforts, is building pathways for connection and collaboration between industry and academia. And something that is really important to note here is that I'm going to be talking a little bit less about the learning component of our model and actually a little bit more about the experiential hiring revolution that we're seeing, especially as institutions are investing more and more into resources to help the students gain experience by working on projects. We're seeing the way in which industry recruit and engage young talent change a lot. And so I'm going to focus a little bit on that aspect. Of course, it's all underpinned by the learning aspect of our platform and our model. So to get us started here, let's talk about what the problem is, right? So at the end of the day, employers are very dissatisfied with graduating talent. A lot of talent is underemployed, especially after they graduate from programs, which really hurts their ability to pay back those loans. And then I think probably the most astonishing statistic is that most entry-level roles require 3 years of work experience. So how do students get that experience if they aren't getting it from school and they can't get it from companies because entry-level roles require them, and there's far too few internships that are needed by the amount of students that are enrolled in higher ed programs. So the gap here is really about how many people are looking for jobs, and actually the excess of open roles that are out there, which actually as of May of last year May of this year, it's even higher than it's previously been. So 8.1 million unfilled roles for skilled labor. We define skilled labor as, especially for entry-level talent, as the 16 to 34-year-old, basically graduating from high school, interested in undergraduate or bachelor degree program, moving into graduate programs, positioned to be future leaders. That's who we try to benefit through experiential learning and hiring programs. So CapSource's technology empowers academic and industry partners to build and manage high-impact, scalable experiential programs that engage, educate, and train our next-generation workforce. This is our mission statement. This is what we do. It comes down to both experiential learning and experiential hiring. It's basically one process looked at from two different sides of the equation. So to start off with, the experiential hiring side, that's the benefit for industry partners. Basically helping companies attract, engage, and select top talent that's both qualified and productive, right? At the end of the day, the worst thing that you could do is hire someone who really isn't a fit for that role, who's leaning into it either because they have no other options or because they've sprayed and prayed different applications, and we don't think that that's really in anyone's best interest. So what we're doing instead is really focusing on case-based and project-based assessments that allow candidates to prove that they're qualified and allow companies to ensure that those candidates are a good fit. On the other side, the students are learning all the while, right? So at the end of the day, they have to learn a lot in order to onboard for a company anyway. So you might as well front load that process. Some actually call this flipped hiring for that reason. But the first thing is they prove and they demonstrate through cases and actually proposing solutions, working in teams, that they can actually help that business scale. They're learning about the industry, the role, the company, the culture, all at the same time during a pre-onboarding project and case study. And that's really how we define our model here. So moving on, CapSource has been around for a little over 4 years. We've had the good fortune of working with students and faculty from over 100 different universities, almost 10,000 students. I'm hoping very soon that we'll be at that metric, which we're really proud of, providing people with reference-worthy experience, something to add to their resume. And then, of course, couldn't do it without our industry partners, and why they're doing it, of course, is experiential hiring. So I wanted to kind of paint a quick picture about our ecosystem and kind of how this whole process works. We provide free access to students, of course, They're learners. They are the ones who ultimately are in need of help, and we partner with their institutions and organizations that are looking to hire those high-performing students as a way to ultimately provide them with these experiences. So we offer certain things for free, like case studies, and then we upgrade for live synchronous programs. And then, of course, we also offer enterprise software for our power users who really want to make a custom tailored experiential learning or experiential hiring program branded to their institution and tailored to the way that they organize. So this gives you a little bit of a perspective on what experiential learning is conceptually, right? So at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is actually train students on the skills that they need to be successful in the workplace. Of course, schools can't do that without industry, right? Unless they're working at the school afterwards, they need to gain some skills working with companies. And so that's part of the reason why we showcase this model. So first, students use universal skills, the 4 C's: communication, collaboration, critical thinking, creativity, project-based learning as teams, in addition to relevant tools and technical skills. So that's really all about, getting a chance to use something like Carta, or using QuickBooks, or understanding the Microsoft Office or Google Suite. Each one of those things is an important tool, depending on the company, that you'll need to be able to show that you can use, and not only that, get trained up on very quickly. The key is to use these skills to produce real outcomes for real stakeholders. Without that piece, it's not experiential learning, because there's no stakes outside of their own grade with a content-based education approach. Ultimately, we're trying to provide, have those industry partners provide real feedback to the students as they produce those outcomes. That kind of iterative approach really ensures that you're honing the students, showcasing why industry leaders think the way that they do, and ultimately what we're trying to emblematically have the students showcase in their decision-making capacity. At the end, it's all about reference-worthy experience. Can the students showcase what they just did on the resume, on LinkedIn, during interviews? That's the most important thing that makes students marketable. And so without building this capacity, it's very hard to do that. Experiential hiring, on the other side, is really about allowing employers to engage those candidates in a flipped hiring capacity. So it's almost like contract to hire, right? You're training, you're learning about each other, and almost like a dating phase. And then you're assessing, based on their performance in those areas, if they have the soft skills, technical skills, and culture fit required to really succeed in that workplace. Lastly, it's all about integrating the outcomes and the talent themselves into the organization, because that's what makes this all worth it. The students come up with such creative ideas. They're unhindered by anything that's been out there in the real world. And so we just think that it's such an incredible opportunity to work with students, and it keeps companies innovative. Of course, if they are the top talent, you also want to make sure that you can hire them. And so that's a big part of the process too. So this is a really nice slide that actually showcases the trade-off and how this is actually happening. So of course, while candidates and students are applying theory and working on real projects with real stakes, companies are getting fresh ideas that are cost-effective. Students are developing skills and networking and ensuring that there's role alignment with what they thought they wanted to do with what's actually out there. And then, of course, the companies get to evaluate that talent and ensure that there's culture fit. At the end, students get to walk away with that reference-worthy experience. Companies get to select and retain top talent. So one of the things that we're actually working on, and we're going to pair this video with an article coming out about what styles of experiential hiring and what formats of experiential hiring kind of work. Because at the end of the day, this is not a new concept. It's just a concept that needs to scale, and that means that there needs to be good technology that's designed to make that possible. So what you're seeing in the orange box here are the different types of experiential hiring programs, right? At the end of the day, if you're running an apprenticeship program within your organization, that's experiential hiring. You're allowing young talent to learn more about the role, the industry, train up, network, and then eventually transition into full-time roles if it's appropriate. Same thing with fellowships, internships, ambassadorships. And I challenge you guys, if I'm missing anything, throw it in the chat. We're definitely interested in nailing this article But at the end of the day, I think any of these ships, right, these different opportunities for young talent to network and engage are all formats and styles of experiential hiring. And then, of course, like the goal here is to make these high impact, turnkey, trackable and scalable. That's really only possible by leveraging technology that's out there. CapSource is one of several vendors operating in the space, although we are making a big effort to try and define really the importance of experiential learning and experiential hiring, and why everyone, including industry, nonprofits and for-profits, startups and large businesses, governments, everyone should be involved in educating our next generation through these types of professional development programs, and then providing pathways for employment afterwards. So what are the benefits of doing experiential hiring? Well, I think it's three key things. One is diversity, ensuring that the talent is qualified and that you're able to retain them. If we can nail all three of those, we can solve a lot of bloat in the typical recruitment process. I think, of course, we're all hearing regularly companies need diverse talent. They're looking for diverse talent. They have no idea how to find diverse talent. And that's really a sad reality, because at the end of the day, these tools, experiential hiring, is a great way to provide more opportunities to qualified young professionals, no matter what their background. And then I think the second piece is ensuring that whoever is participating in these programs is actually qualified to be a part of the organization more permanently. Try before you buy, right? At the end of the day, everyone wants the free sample. It leads to more success on both sides of the equation. Lastly, retention is a big piece. It's a big outcome here that we're looking to accomplish. And so we ultimately think if you lose an employee within 3 months of them getting hired, you're actually anywhere between 9 and 12 months in salary behind, because then you have to spend more time recruiting them and training them, and you still haven't had that role filled. So experiential hiring really results in higher retention talent, because you're spending the time to train them and also allowing them to ensure that it's a good fit. And so ultimately that's what leads to lower retention, is if they don't feel like it's a good fit, or they feel like they're accepting a position that they don't really understand. So we're going to talk a little bit about how this actually comes together. Experiential hiring is a powerful approach to talent acquisition. We talk about case assessments, and then custom hiring programs, and then of course any type of academic collaboration is also an experiential hiring opportunity that we can offer through our platform. It's actually something that you can get started for free in case you aren't interested in doing a more intentionally designed experiential hiring program. So first thing, and these are always free, our case assessments are an incredible tool. You build a case study, you have students demonstrate that they understand the role, the industry, your business model, your products, all through a quick assignment. 1 to 2 page research report, something that students are very familiar with because they're in school, but ultimately it's a good way to kind of transition them into real work rather than theoretical work. After those case assessments, we like to put students into custom experiential hiring programs. You can ultimately use case assessments to hire any full-time role, but if you want to try experiential hiring, what that comes down to is building a project-based experience that goes one layer deeper than the case study. Put the students on teams. You can run it like a hackathon. You can run it as individual teams, students, working together, working with mentors from the company, proving that they understand the business, delivering real outcomes. Of course, it's a similar experience if you've ever been in college and done a capstone project. We also do these things called live cases. All of those formats are actually dictated by the schools, the timeline, and the goals for that course. And so ultimately, that's what we consider academic collaborations. This is a quick example of a case assessment. The idea here is to provide students with an idea of what Minevo does. They're a really cool company that allows those with disabilities to control a wheelchair with their head movements. They were looking for young talent. So we ultimately challenge students by thinking through how would this company, which is based in Germany, enter the US. Students did an incredible amount of research, showcased that they had the ability to understand the company, and produce outcome reports, which then we used to select who was going to be participating in further follow-up programming. These are examples of project-based experiences that we launched after the case assessments were completed. So with DoorDash, we had the students deep dive into the business model, understand the competitive landscape, analyze key stakeholders, and then propose go-to-market strategy. It's a similar experience with CoinSource. They actually hired the top performing team, and they continue to do that year over year as we work together. Both of these experiences were done as like hackathons, so there's many teams participating, but depending on the way your organization is set up, you can have different projects for different departments, and then see which talent rises to the top. The way to design high impact projects, you got to make sure that the goals are aligned, so what the students want to learn and experience, that all the information and the milestones are ironed out in advance, and that ultimately it's designed more for the benefit of that talent than it is for the organization. That's also how you can offer these programs without paying the candidates, although we do encourage small stipend-based compensation or just compensation for the top performers, but it's not essential because internships aren't required to be paid if you're in compliance with fair labor standards. Our industry programs really come down to building projects based on open roles and really understanding what you're trying to identify within that talent group to make sure that they are actually a good fit for that role and for the organization before they're hired. The experiences themselves are so much fun. They could be done virtually, they could be done in person, but of course the idea here is to get the students to prove that they are qualified. And this is just a quick screenshot of the director of marketing from a company trying to vet and qualify talent. I think 3 of the students on the screen were actually hired after they did such an incredible job on this presentation. The academic programs are a little bit different. As I mentioned, the companies apply to work with schools. It's free if the schools select you, but it has to match their timeline and teaching goals, which is a little bit different than our custom programs, which are designed based on open job recs that you have and the types of talent that you're trying to recruit and onboard. At the end of the day, our system helps really enable companies to track and manage this experience, collecting data, ensuring that NDAs, any types of legal paperwork are signed and uploaded in advance, and just allowing us to recruit the best students and ensure that they are qualified and aware of and understand what the experience is like and what can be the outcome if they're successful. So CapSource operates as 3 tiers. We give certain things away for free, like our case studies. So we definitely recommend getting started on our website. It's super easy. If you just click on the companies button, you can learn a ton more about the different ways to get started for free through our class projects or case assessments. Then we have CapSource Lite, which is the ability to use our technology to start building experiential hiring programs. And then it also allows you to tap into some of our added services. And then we also offer CapSource Connect, which is our enterprise technology system, which enables both schools and industry partners to build and manage their own experiential learning or experiential hiring system. It also allows them to manage a private network and brand it so that it feels very comfortable for the talent as they're being onboarded. This is a quick glimpse of some of our power users, those Connect users. We're really proud of these folks for raising their hand and saying, hey, we want to increase internship capacity. There's only 2 million internships offered every year in the United States, and there's 20 million college students. So that means de facto only 10% of students are getting internships, and that doesn't even make up the 80 million students that are in the age range interested in those experiential hiring opportunities. This is a quick highlight of the added services that we offer on top of our platform. It's come down to project design and candidate sourcing. I could not be here today withoout my incredible team and my mentors. We really are working hard to build capacity so that young professionals can gain experience. We thank you so much at 1BusinessWorld for allowing us an opportunity to present a little bit of our methodology here. And I encourage you guys to get in touch with me or the rest of the CapSource organization if you're interested in getting started.
Good, thank you so much. That was really interesting stuff. I mean, I think you really hit a real need in the marketplace. And just, we ran out of time, but if you can answer this in 30 seconds, how has, or a minute, how has the pandemic and all this affected? Because my sense is that some companies might be a little bit more eager to do this because of the ability to work hybrid, you might say, right? Remote. Is that, are you seeing a little bit more of a kick in interest right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, on both sides of our platform, the schools are trying to figure out ways to virtually engage students, and companies are looking for ways to really do an effective job onboarding talent in a virtual way. I think, the old days of, hey, you must be back in the office on a certain day at a certain time, may be over, at least for the millennials. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how that all pans out as they look for new hiring solutions. And I think experiential hiring is a good opportunity there.
It sounds that way. Jordan, thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.